preparing. And we can look up top. I can look up top here and see that we are probably on YouTube right now. Hi, guys. I'll be with you in just a minute. If you see me, it's redirecting. And let me check the channel. Do all this techie stuff because you have to. All right, so what is going on there? That looks a little different. Okay, so why isn't this? All right. So we should be live. Hi, everybody. All right, give me 1 second. Let me go back to my channel. Yep, I see where we're at. Okay. All right. Well, we are live, everybody, hopefully. And you all can hear me. All right. So welcome back. It's been months since I've done Everything Horses and More live podcast. And today I have a wonderful guest. She's the daughter of one of my students over the years. Her name is Elisabeth Johansen. Hi, Elisabeth.
Hi.
Fantastic. Welcome. And she is joining us all the way from Vestfossen.
Vestfossen, yeah.
Vestfossen, Norway, near Oslo, for those of you that are familiar. And I'm gonna let her talk in just a little bit, but I want to introduce our topic, what we're going to be talking about today, because we were supposed to be streaming to Facebook, and now we are on my YouTube channel. So for those of you that are like, what's going on here? We are going to be talking about Elisabeth's experience with horses and how she developed her new book. And her book is called Don't Lobotomize the Horse, a simple guide to better understanding and communication with the horse. And so I can't wait to dive in and let her talk about her book and why she created this book, so forth and so on. All right, give me 1 second. So we are good. Okay, fantastic. All right, before we begin, I'd like to let you guys know about my free masterclass webinar. It's posted all over my YouTube channel and my Facebook channel. So it's free right now. It's the 4 secrets to unlocking the power of connection with horses. And so I know you guys are pretty familiar with me and my YouTube channel, but I'm always creating something new, so to speak, or a new way of teaching what I've been teaching. I wouldn't say it's a new way, but in this webinar, it's a 26-minute PowerPoint slide presentation. And I go through I've narrowed down the 4 secrets. So, if you've been studying me, whether it's YouTube or you've joined one of my online classes or you've been a student in person with me, you're going to get 4 succinct principles. And these principles are about, they're my secrets to connecting with horses. Once you have these in place, anything is possible. It doesn't matter what discipline, what training style you follow. If you do these 4 things all the time and in everything you do with your horse, you'll always have connection with the horse and communication and the ability to work in harmony. Let me go ahead and Elisabeth, how easy is it for you have you been to my YouTube channel before?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you just check it out on your phone and just
Oh.
make sure that, because sorry guys, I know that we're live, but normally I can look at us and see what's going on. So I think we're good.
Caroline
Oh, yeah.
founder of the That was
All
wrong.
right. We're good. Your mom's on there.
Okay.
So we're good. Thank you. Yeah, we're live. I just needed to make sure. Okay. We're cool. You just never know with all this technology. So anyway, just want to let you guys know, if you're interested in it, you can go to my I'm thinking I'll give you guys the link later in this actual podcast where to go, because you can't just join my website and find it. But just know that this is the secret to unlocking the power of your connection with your horse, so that you align both of you align together. You feel as one, you think as one, you move as one. So this is like part of rehabilitation, retraining, you name it. Like this is it. And then we expand on it. Like, how do you take this into a step-by-step training process? But anyway, I will leave that link later when we're done. And I want to get back to Elisabeth. So let me tell you all a little bit about Elisabeth. She operates a small farm in Vestfossen, Norway, called Meaning and Mastery Farm, where she engages troubled youth of all ages in hands-on nature-based education. Her farm experience encourages teamwork, respect, offering children values such as responsibility, self-confidence, and the satisfaction of facing and overcoming challenges. In addition to her work with children and animals, Elisabeth has loved horses since the age of 6 and has been an ardent student of them for over 30 years. Her studies led her to question traditional mindsets in horse training practices, promoting her to create Harmony Horse, that's her website, harmonyhorse.com, and write her first book in hopes that people will open their eyes to a more harmonious way of being with their horses. And I'll list this in the podcast so you guys can click onto her website. Because of course, Elisabeth speaks a different language and it's in a different language. How do you say your website in your language?
Harmonisk hest.
.com. Okay, I'll list all of that. All right. So this is her first book that she's writing. We're going to talk about it because she'd like to make it a better place for horses and humans. You know, how can we again find harmony and align ourselves? So her book, what we're going to talk about, Don't Lobotomize the Horse, is a simple guide to better understanding and communication with horses. It's not available yet, but it will soon be, hopefully in the new year. So we're going to be discussing what drove Elisabeth and many of us to a better, more heartfelt understanding of the horse. And so, Elisabeth, where do you want to begin, my dear?
Well, I think maybe it's appropriate to start at the beginning, because like you said, I started my journey with horses for many years ago, and it started with the school horses, you know, where I was taking riding lessons.
Yes.
And there were never any feeling for the horse. There were never any understanding of the horse or what the horse were trying to communicate. When the rider had an opinion about something they wanted to do, they made the horse do it. Whether they had to pull on it or kick on it or use the whip or the spur, you know, the thing that the human wanted to do, the horse were just going to do. And
let me interrupt you for a second. And I do this because these are great points. It's a level of consciousness with humans. It's a level, it goes beyond just being aware. So many of my students, before they find me, or even when they're transitioning from taking lessons, they find me but they're still not sure, you know, about plunging or jumping into my program or my training method. They're still there. They're still 1 foot in the old way and 1 foot in the new way. And the old way is exactly what you're talking about. They're still taking lessons. They're still being told to yank on the horse's mouth, kick them to go, use pressure and force. And it is truly a level of consciousness that I'm talking about, because I too have been there. You only know what you know. You don't know what you don't know. So when I got back into horses many years ago, I thought I knew a lot. I mean, I was really arrogant. I was very arrogant. I thought I knew a lot, but I was also very open. And that openness, that vulnerability taught me a lot of humility. You have to be able to be humble, humiliated. I needed to be humiliated, humble to see the difference. And unfortunately, even the audience that we're going to reach is still, and you guys, if you're not that's wonderful. But I'm getting emails from my followers on YouTube who are torn. They're still doing the old way. You're still making the horse anytime you are using force or pressure or pain. Now, you can use pressure in a positive way to help the horse, to motivate the horse to make a better choice. But I just wanted to make that clear, really clear. And it just hit me. It's like we need to do a better job, you, me, breaking this down and not just talking about it lightly. I was at a lesson barn where they were making the horse. What does that really look like? And it looks like this. Anytime you're pulling on their mouth with a bit and you're being told to kick them and you're yanking on them and you don't have good balance and you're in their mouth because your hands are being used for balance, all these things affect the horse's well-being. And I'll leave it at there. It's just, yeah, something to really needs to change. We need to get that one foot that's over here all the way over here and on in the new way completely. Yes.
Definitely. And as I grew older, I had a few moments here and there when I felt like I was in sync with the horse. When I had a thought and the horse executed that thought, and it was really connected, but it was so random, and I didn't know how I had gotten there. And then the moment was past, and I and my mother's gonna laugh now, but I know I have been a really opinionated and hormonal and emotional youth. And when I was riding Mooney, our late horse, I could get so frustrated because I wanted to do things and she wasn't there or she wasn't strong enough. But she always tried her best. So we had those kinds of moments where everything was really harmonious and really the best feeling ever. But then they were gone again. And I got frustrated and I was, doing what I was told from when I was younger. You pull on the reins, if the
Make it happen.
horse, yeah. And if the horse starts to, open their mouth and try to show that
Avoid.
they're,
Yeah,
yeah,
avoid it, evade it. Yes.
my riding instructor told me to tighten the noseband. And I mean, this is so horrible to the horse, but
Mm-hmm.
it's so many people who does it because they're supposed to look good and they don't know how to make it any different.
They really aren't thinking about the horse though. Like I said, it's a level of consciousness. It's a shift in consciousness and they're just not there. And I
Yeah.
don't know if some of those people will ever get there. You have to be willing to admit that you're wrong. That's the humility that comes with it. I certainly went there and I can thank my little Arab legend for breaking me down. I cared that much about how I affected him and drove him crazy sometimes. And if I didn't care so much, I wouldn't be who I am today, and eat a lot of humble pie.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm.
Um, But I also had this connection, and especially with one of the horses at the riding school. He was a small Icelandic gelding, and he was a really, really small horse. And I'm tall as a person, and I always been tall. So we were a really mismatched couple, but we had a lot of fun together. And he was really extroverted, and he liked speed, and he liked jumping fences. And I was this adrenaline junkie when I was younger, and just everything was so fun. And yeah, but even though at other times when he didn't want to do it, I made him do it. So I really, and it's a strong word to use, but I abused him. And I feel terrible about it now that I'm getting older and I know more, but I did. But even though I did that, he really forgave me because I had a troubled youth myself. I was bullied a lot and I had my own personal traumas, but I could take the bus to the stable and sit with him inside his booth and cry
Mm.
my eyes out. And he
Oh,
would just stand there and
oh,
lower his head and just letting me feel the love and the acceptance
yes,
that
yes.
only a horse can give you.
And the
And I never
support.
felt,
He
yeah,
supported you by being there. That's huge. Yes.
definitely. And I never felt
With
that.
no judgment, with no judgment.
No. And I have been to some therapists to try to talk through things and yada yada. And I never felt that with those humans, even though they are, it's their job to
Expert.
do that. Yeah,
Yes.
they're experts. But well, anyways, but I really felt that he forgave me and he didn't bear any grudges.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
and after been through that kind of youth myself and felt that kind of support from the horses, um, even though I didn't know better, I kind of felt like I did because I always felt that there was something missing. You know,
Yes.
after I had yanked on the chain or kicked the horse with all my force,
Yeah.
I felt it like this is not good. This isn't right. So I felt bad afterwards, but nobody talked about it to do it any differently.
Yes.
Um, and
So
after
how did you change? How did that shift happen for you? Like,
it, it comes later in the story.
I'll wait, I'll be patient.
And when I was 18, I bought my own first horse. He was a French thoroughbred, and he was tall, and he was really, oh, he was awesome to look at. But he had some severe trauma. He was not balanced mentally, and he had a lot of things going on with himself. And me being the way I were back then, we were not a good match. I couldn't see him. I didn't understand him. I couldn't take good decisions on his behalf. And he got injured, and I had to be put in a booth for a certain amount of time. And then he got really I'm not sure the word in English, but he got brutal, he got aggressive.
Yeah. Yes.
So after my riding instructor had helped me to rehabilitate him, I sold him to a person who were just going to, take care of him, love him, go for trail rides. But that left me really traumatized because I felt like my own horse wanted to attack me.
Mm.
So when I was in close distance to him, 5 meters maybe, I would get anxiety attack.
Anxiety, yes.
Yeah, because I was so scared because he was all over the place. He would try to bite, he was trying to kick.
He was
Um,
angry. He was angry and frustrated and
yeah,
yeah, wow, expressing himself. Wow.
and I weren't able to take care of my own horse. I didn't understand him. So I felt like things needed to change because that were not the way that I wanted things to be with me and with the horses. Um, and after several years, I took my bachelor's and went to school, and I took a job as a stable management and in a private stable.
Mhm.
So I started to living with the horses. And I've always been very sensitive to feelings and emotions, whether it's humans or animals. I can feel their feelings.
Mhm.
Um, and when I've been reflecting on this in hindsight, I think I could tell when the horses had their parasympathetic.
Sympathetic. Yep.
Thank you.
Parasympathetic. You're good.
Yeah.
Nervous. Yes.
When they were, oh, it was, oh, things are funny, or they are excited to go out and just, activated, but in a happy place.
Yes.
Or when they were really scared of something or unsure of something or nervous. I could tell the difference
You
by
could
the
feel
way
it.
that, yeah. And
Feel it.
also, I could, it was somehow the way that they were activated in their bodies.
Mhm.
I didn't know it at the time, but all the signs and signals, I kind of saw a difference. And so when I was 29, I bought my farm, and I have been thinking about it while I've been writing my book, because everything I'm writing about, I'm trying to connect to a story from my own experiences
Mhm.
so that I can illustrate it to the reader and make it a more lively experience.
Mhm.
I've actually had 21 horses in my care after I moved to the farm. So for the past 7.5 years, I've had a lot of different horses, and they have all taught me so much. And when I got down to being open to connection and communication and started to be aware of the signs and signals that the horses show,
Yes.
it gives me a totally new experience with the horse because I understand them. We can have a connection, we can have a communication. And it's so, I mean, I would never go back to the way things were because there's no feeling. And
Yeah.
now there's all feelings, and there's appreciation, and there's love, and there's, oh,
Understanding. You get each
yeah,
other. You understand.
definitely.
It's beautiful. It is life-changing. And you can never go back, nor would you want to go back to the old way. But yeah, it's life-changing for
Mm,
both. And for the
definitely.
horse, because it's once you've seen, you can't unsee. Once you have felt this, and the same for them. It's one of the hardships being a professional trainer. And I had to stay true to my ethics and my morals when I was training someone's horse or rehabilitating the horse for a client. What was that horse going back to?
Yeah.
Because once they had a different life here with me, and they could see what it could be like, there were those times that I was sending them back to a different life.
Mm,
And it never worked out. It never worked out. The horse would get angry. The horse would want and need something from their human that they could not get. They're that intelligent, and they have the same needs. And it's really about, you just said, connecting and communicating and understanding, and just thinking that way changes everything. It makes the shift. You don't
yeah.
have to really, you do have to support how you feel and how you think with your actions. But I mean, you don't have to be, a professional horse trainer to make these changes. Not at all. Not
No.
at all. And you're an example of that. It changes everything for the better. It makes it so much easier for the horse to live in our world, and for us to understand each other and make a peaceful, harmonious, interaction.
Yeah. But it also created some problems for me
Yeah.
because because I mean, I would never, and I said this, I will never have a riding school, even though I have the facilities. I will never have that because I don't want to put my own horses in those kinds of situations that I experienced when I was growing up. So I thought that I could create a different kind of course, a horse course where it was more focused on the horse, understanding the horse, um, learning my students how to read the body language, the signs, the signals, learning them to have a communication with a horse.
Yeah.
And even though I did all this, and for the most part, it went really well, and I could really tell the difference it made for the horses, because one of my horses, Sirkil, which I have had for the longest time, he have been a former riding school horse, and he really didn't like it. He either lay down or he bucked.
Yes.
He just said that enough is enough. I'm not doing this. So I was really excited how he would react when I started my own courses. But because he only had one student during the course, and the student learned this, I call it for the horse shake. You know, when two people meet, we have a handshake, and when the person greets the horse, we have a horse shake. And so the horses are included in everything. You know, they get to initiate a conversation with a human, and we consider their signs and signals. But when it came to the point where the horses showed me that they were not, they didn't want the student on their backs, or they communicated to me that this student is not ready to be riding, I couldn't take that into consideration, because my student had paid me for being able to get on the horse's back. And when I stood there and I had to say to my horse that I see you, I understand you, and I know how you feel, but I can't do anything about it. This person has to get on your back because that's what they're paying me for. That took such a big toll on me. It cost me so much energy. And it caused a lot of stress. And I just felt like it was wearing me down.
Yes.
So I started to think about how can I increase my income, because the main thing I'm doing with the children that comes to the farm to be with me and the animals, and horses definitely, it's really poorly paid. So I need to figure out something so I can get some more income, and doesn't mean that I have to put my horses in a position where they don't want to be. So that's when I started thinking about maybe I can write a book so I can share all of my thoughts and feelings and really,
Experiences and learning.
and connect all the dots and get the scientifically proven validation of it. Because me as a person can't come out and say that you shouldn't yank on your horse because it will increase the stress of your horse in the situation.
But why can't you? If it's your horse and you're giving the lesson and you're the instructor, you can say that.
No, definitely. Definitely. No, I was thinking about if I'm out on a different stable, you know, I don't have that kind of authority. I need to have the scientific in the background to validate my points.
Yes.
So that's what I've been doing with this book, you know, gathering all the information and the scientific proof that you shouldn't be increasing the stress, and what can happen if you have a horse that is living under stress for a long time, and how that shows up. And
they're so stoic. There's so many layers in different levels of stress. And that, you know, you and I are talking about, or you're talking about, you know, more obvious ways, you know, but there's also, this is why I developed my program, because you get permission to ride, and you have to, the horse wants you because you've earned it. You've done everything that the horse needs to say, I love you, you're my friend, you're my family, I'm going to protect you, I'm going to take care of you. But you've got to ride the same way you were developing that relationship and that energetic connection and the fluidity and the embodiment on the ground. You take that to to the horse, to the mounting block, to get on and in the riding. And so it can work that way, but you have to support the horse and you have to support the process, and you can't deviate. When my students come and they've joined my program, so they know full well that this, and they want it. So, but it's still different, right? It's still different than what they were taught. So those old habits still come. And they're riding bareback in a nice professional bareback pad, and they're not used to that. So the legs are tight, they're squeezing, they're kicking or squeezing the horse to go, or using all of these loud aids, even though they don't think they're loud, like, let's go, come on, come on, come on, let's go, and everything at once. My horses, they're my personal horses, and I don't have very many anymore. They'll tolerate a new student for so long, and then they literally bring the student to me. I'm in the middle of of the arena, or wherever we are, the round pen, the 20-meter, or the dressage, and then you just know, you look, you're talking to your horse, and your horse is going, and they're like, and I'm like, okay, it's time for you to get off. It's time for you to take a break. It's time for you to think about how you can make this change from the old way, because my horse is telling you, or they'll take him to the mounting block. My horse is telling you, why is your horse doing this? And I said, because they are your feedback. They are allowed to have a voice and tell you this is key, exactly how they feel. If you don't listen, then they will buck you off. They will do all of the other behaviors that most horses do, because they're pushed to that point of screaming. It's like you and I having an argument, and we're having it at this level, which is healthy, right? But if it starts to escalate, it's out of frustration. And that's the horses. It's like, let's deal with it at a level where we don't escalate. But the horse, I too have to, and I always will, honor how they feel. And it is not easy, even at my level, meaning I'm a professional trainer and I've got this method, and I've got these horses who have this level of foundation, being this way with people, and their lives have been spent being honest. They're allowed to be honest. They're allowed to be horses. They are heard. It's still hard. You have to honor them when they say, I don't want this person, I don't want this person on me. I don't like their energy. Some can take it and some can't. Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
it's profound.
And also, we have different personalities as humans, and so does the horses. And not everybody gets along. And it
No.
doesn't have to be a reason. It doesn't match the energy, and it
Yes.
doesn't match. And I had an interesting conversation with one of my students a couple of weeks ago. She is coming to me for, I'm calling it, oh, I forgot the word.
Therapy, like therapy, coaching,
Yeah, it's kind
advice,
of, I'm not a
advice.
I'm
Okay.
not a therapist, so I can't call
Yes,
it
I know.
therapy,
I
but
know.
I'm calling it connection
Mhm.
with horses,
Mhm.
both mentally and physically. Because she has trouble connecting her own energy and her body. She has struggling to connect her own energy. So before we even started, we had this conversation, and I was telling her about Evet, one of my horses that I felt were going to be great in this kind of work. He was a really shut down horse before,
Mhm.
and now he's really out of his shell and has a beautiful personality and he's just lovely.
Oh.
But I was telling her about it, and I said that it's not a certainty that your energy and personality matches his. And if that's the case, then we can try Cirkel. And if that doesn't work, we could try Maya. or Frigga.
Can
And
I ask you something?
yeah,
When you, and this is what I do, when sometimes I have an intuitive feeling about the student and which horse they'll do best with. And I'm usually spot on, but sometimes I bring them out into the herd, my open herd of horses, and I let my horses choose that person. Even if that person doesn't want that horse, like they might have wanted another horse. I let them choose, and then I know that that horse is going to be okay taking on that person's energy. So
yeah, I have actually done the same thing. Not many times, just a few, where I've taken the student out to the herd, and a totally different horse has come up than I thought would take on the role. Um, but the point of that story was that she was shocked that uh, it could actually be the case that the two personalities, hers and the horse, didn't match, because she thought that if she had experienced that earlier with other horses, then she had to work harder to make the connection work, because nobody had ever told her, and she hadn't thought of it herself, that those kinds of energies doesn't necessarily match.
yeah,
And I think that's also important to get out to people, that it happens sometimes.
I
Not
say it's
everybody
like
goes
dating.
along.
Yep. It's a bigger commitment than dating because we've bought the horse or, but you're right. And in the wild, horses get to choose who they want to be with. They don't get to choose their equine friends when they're domesticated. And yeah, I mean, it's, my gosh, I say all the time, they're so much like us. It's scary the way they feel, horses. They may not process, obviously, scientifically, it's proven they don't process. Well, they're still learning so much, but with the horse, but they do feel similarly to us in every way, in so many emotional ways. It is hard for people um to wrap their mind around that, because most equine professionals do not talk like this. Even the big names, they don't talk like this. They only go so far. They talk about connection and they talk about having communication, but it's only a superficial level. They don't talk about the horse really feeling and understanding and needing what they need to thrive as an individual, as a being. They need many things, horses. They need many things that they don't get from us, and they don't get to choose. Yeah.
It's really sad. Yeah.
Yeah, we can do a much better job. We can do a much better job. Um, and that could be a whole nother podcast. It's how do you get two horses that don't like each other to like each other? It can be done, but that's a whole nother podcast. Um, it can be done, because I'll leave it at this. It's like all of my horses have been rescues. They did not know each other before they came here. Most of them did not like each other. And there are some that had their set roles, like my Trinity, and especially Sundance and Legend, not Smokey. Everybody loves Smokey. Smokey was everybody's horse. And that was what he chose, though, where Legend was like, I'm my mother's horse. He was a little snotty Arab, I'm better than you, I'm my mom's assistant here. Don't bother me. You're not good enough. Ugh. He was such a little that, yeah. And then Sundance was his wife and his protector. So, in that case, no, they didn't get along with everybody, but everybody else, once you start doing the same work and you bring them into this life of being fully thriving and present, because you're working on their trauma, so they can't just keep going back to past. They're present. You bring them back to who they really are, and then they can take over and have a healthy level of autonomy, not dependence on you, You're giving them the autonomy that they need, the independence that they are born with to make their own decisions and their own choices, knowing that, yeah, you're stuck here with me. I'm going to do my best to give you what you need, but this is our family now. This is our family. This is an interesting story that's kind of freaky. When I bought my first farm and got back into horses, I had my two puppies, my two labs, my yellow lab and my golden retriever, and they were puppies. They were like 6 months old. And so the first time my puppies were introduced to my horses was at my parents' farm. And I'll never forget, and my horses were new to me. So Brandy had passed away, Legend, was new, Smokey was new. So it was just those two. And then my donkey, who I raised, he was not new. But the point I'm making is my one puppy, my yellow lab, squeezed under the fence and started to run after Smokey. Well, Smokey went to run after her and kill her. You know, horses, they'll go after predator and stomp on them, donkeys. Horses will too, and crush them. So here's this little yellow lab. I'm screaming, Sydney, Sydney. She's petrified because she's panicking. She doesn't know how to get back in under the fence. Smokey's trying to crush her. You know, I literally dived into the fence and pulled her by the scruff of her neck through the fence. I had a conversation. Now, what would you do? How do you create a relationship between species? How was I going to make it so that my dog and my horse would become family? Instantaneously. How? Smokey was new. He was a mess. My puppy. How? Conversation. So Sydney's in the backyard, fenced in. I go out to Smokey's, brand new to me, scared of everything. And I look him in the eye and I say, that'll never happen again, because we are family. It will never happen again. You do not have to be afraid of this dog. I know she's a predator. You take over in a loving way, in a powerful way. So that was that instance. I was still living in DC, so went back to DC with my dog. We were moving to the farm soon, and literally when the horses were at the farm and my dogs, and we were all together for the first time at my farm, I'll never forget. I had a big ball, one of those big balls, and the puppies were chasing the big ball, you know, like a horse ball. It was a Pirelli ball for the horses, big. And I put us all together in the pasture. And I just remember having that conversation in my heart and in my mind, and looking at my horses while my dogs were in the pasture for the first time with them, with me. And we were all playing with this ball, and it just never happened. It just changed everything. They are so intelligent. I don't know how to scientifically prove it, but I can share these stories. And I know there's other people out there like yourself that have these stories where, how did that just happen? Was that real? And it's just amazing. I think sometimes we just have to have the power of believing that it can happen. I'll just never forget that though. Like, yeah, I didn't teach them. I didn't desensitize my horse and my dog so they'd get used to each other. I had that conversation. I was prepared to step in. I was smart. Like I had a whip, you know, I was prepared to step in if I needed to interrupt anything, if it happened again. But when a horse is present and not in trauma, they get it. They see everything, they feel everything, they understand everything. We have to rise to that and acknowledge it. And then it's like I keep saying, it's a higher level of consciousness. It just takes you into a totally different space, that the more you do it, then the more it happens, because you're both looking for it and you're open to it. And then you have that connection all the time.
Yeah. I've always been like that, but I'm talking with my animals, like I'm talking to you right now. And I feel that when I say the words out loud, I'm much more transparent and I'm much more congruent, and I am visualizing how I want them to do it.
Yeah. What it
And
feels like. Like
yeah.
like I feel it. Like that's the feeling. Yeah, no, it's huge. Yeah, it's powerful when you feel it.
And I'm telling them like I would talk to the children, you know, you
Yes.
do not bully that horse, you be nice to it. And
Yes.
they will look at me, and I did this a few hours ago at the latest when Maya was pulling her ears back and, you know, sending Evet away when they were eating. And I was like, Maya, you do not do that. You put your ears back forward and you will be nice to him. And she
Yes,
was looking at me and she was like, "Hmm, okay, I will."
that
But
is
it was
true.
like, yeah.
I love it. I love it. Yep, that's that. All right, come on, you guys. Everybody can have this. Everybody can have this. It's real.
And it's
And
not
it
hard.
changes your life with everything. It affects all of your relationships with every living being, not just two-legged, but four-legged. I mean, when we're there in that present moment, when we can feel that exchange with our horse and we can see it and we can feel it, they're always there. And when they're happy and healthy and when they're in their parasympathetic nervous system, that's what I learned from the wild horses. I'm so glad I had that opportunity studying the wild horses of Chincoteague and Assateague Island, and then working with the wild. And they're not just ponies, they're horses. They've been interbreeding them to keep the lines, the lineage pure. So this is 20 some years ago, 30 some years ago, they started bringing in Mustang, Arabian, and quarter horses into the bloodlines of the Chincoteague pony. So you got height, you would get height, and you would get the different facial and conformational, um, you know, characteristics of the quarter horse, of the Mustang, of the Arab. But the point I'm making is dealing with domesticated horses was so crazy. It was so crazy because I was spoiled. I had this backyard horse my whole life. And yes, growing up, I got to show and I got to see some of the sadness and the abuse. And I stopped. And then I got my backyard horse. And then when I got back into horses, it was nuts because I wasn't showing and competing, and I'm seeing all the stress that these horses and owners are going through in everything. And so I'm like, where am I going to go? I didn't have that with my late horse. I was too young to really know how I got what I got with him. It just happened organically and naturally by being young and not thinking like an adult. So it's like, where am I going to go that I can? Is the horse really like this? There was no scientific study or writings about Mustangs. Nobody was talking about this 30 years ago. I'm like, where can I go to see a healthy horse? Are there healthy horses? And I was always hanging out on Chincoteague and Assateague Island. I was always rollerblading and biking and hiking and drawing and writing and always. So I that as an educator, I cannot emphasize enough the drastic difference between the wild horse and the domesticated horse. And the wild horse is always in this space that you and I are talking about, this presence, this attunement, this way of understanding everything around them, even what's going on inside of us, even all of our thoughts and feelings. It's uncanny. It's surreal. This is where I'm going to say, I think they're not from this planet, that they're aliens that were sent here to help us with our humanity. I've said this often in my podcast because I just don't know. I don't know how it's like the elephant. I've always been in love with elephants, always. And they are one of the smartest animals besides the dolphin and the chimpanzee, and the horses are right there. They get it. They get it. Yeah. All right. So keep talking. So one of the main things you wanted to talk about was trauma and ulcers. You wrote a really magnificent blog on your website that's gotten a ton of views. I think you had 1,900 yesterday. You probably have more than 2,000 now.
It's been, yeah, kind of unreal. But I think that this really either people get glad that I'm bringing this up, or they get sad because they don't want to inflict harm or do it the wrong way for the horse or for the foal. The blog was about when foal gets weaned and sent away from their mothers at the age of 6 till 8 months. And I mean, like you talked about with the wild horses, the fillies, the mares are together for their whole lives. And even the stallions doesn't get pushed away until they are 1.5 year old. And I saw a post from Salt Lake. Oh, it's
Salt River, Salt
yeah,
River.
yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
I
yes,
love
thank
them.
you.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And they had stallions, they observed stallions in the herd,
Yeah.
which were 5 and 6 years old. And when
And
we,
sometimes the stallions help raise an orphan foal. The
yeah,
stallions do. A bachelor stallion and the father will raise an orphan foal when the mother dies. It's like they're, my God, they are so beautiful and complex.
absolutely. And in this man-made environment that we are holding the horses, when we are sending them away from their mother, their herd, their known environments, the people that they have developed a trust to, and we send them away to a new place, new horses. Um, they do evolve and create ulcers and I mean, we practically set them up to get PTHD, and I know I will get tons of pushbacks from saying
That's
this,
okay. That's okay. But
but
we do. We do. And it's
but
scientifically proven within the vet schools that 97% of all foals being weaned that early suffer from stress, anxiety, the lack of proper nutrition. They don't get exactly everything that they need from the mother's milk. And then they get ulcers.
yeah,
And absolutely, absolutely. So there is science behind that. And we can change that. Just I know that we can't change the breeding business. They want to get these foals out the door and make their money. But it's also a mindset that it has to be done this way. And not everybody does. There are so many people out there that are leaving the babies with their mothers longer, but it comes down to money. It's expensive. It's a
yeah,
liability. How quickly can I sell the baby or put the baby in training and sell it before it's 2 years old? And they're just too young for all of that. Even
it's
the training,
terrible. Yeah,
it's just the more we find out about their, not just their physical developmental stages, the bones fusing and the growth platelets and the joints, but the more we find out about the emotional maturity that a horse, the cycle of that, they're so similar to us and children in having that, the respect for their maturity level. A 2-year-old horse is like a 2-year-old puppy, and you can't expect a 2-year-old to be like a 4-year-old. And cognitively, their brains cannot develop and handle the amount of information or stress as a 2-year-old. What we give them, if we would just wait, there's still things we can do to prepare them for a more intense education and training coming into the age of 4, which is still young.
yeah,
It's just I mean, I don't even know where to begin. I mean, we're lucky we're having this conversation because I have so many groups that I've joined that come across my Facebook feed, like Egypt. I belong to this the sanctuary in Egypt, a vet. These horses, you think are Amish are rough in our country, and because they use the horses still for agriculture and to plow the fields, and then they get rid of them and dump them when they get, they dump them at the auctions to go to slaughter. Well, you should see what they do in third world countries. Not all of them, but in Egypt, because of the tourism, there isn't one healthy horse I've seen pulling a cart. I've never seen horses so skinny and so beat up with broken legs, still pulling carts and tourists. I mean, babies suckling off of them, horses eating the trash, horses dying in the
Break my
trash.
heart.
It is. It's like, well, where's the mind, the mentality? Where is the mind of the people? I'm like, they don't even care. This animal's just to be used and abused. It's just, it's no
That's all.
different. It can be about dogs and cats and people, capturing them in other countries and eating them. It's just,
Yeah.
when's it going to change? Collectively, when are we going to make the change? I don't know.
But to circle back to
Yes, sorry.
no, it's
I'm going down the rabbit hole. Bear with
I
me.
Yeah, no, of course. But I just wanted to point out the similarities in our development of our nervous system and our ability to self-regulate. And the nervous system in mammals are really similar, so we can take it the findings of the human development is transferable to the equine.
Yes.
And they say that the most important phase of a child's development in comparison to personality traits to evolve and regulate the nervous system to be able to self-regulate
Yes.
is between 6 and 11 years.
Mm.
And when we think about how young the foals are when they get sent away from their mothers and their known environments, in human years, they are 1 year and 9 months when they are 6 months old. And they have not the ability to self-regulate. They are so dependent on their mothers and the
Yes.
herd to
Yeah.
regulate their nervous system. And when they come to
And it's attachment. It's also, there's a real level of connection and attachment, emotional, that they need to develop their brains. Just like it's no different for humans. If you're left at an orphan until you're 4 with you have attachment disorder. I mean, it can cripple your brain completely. It can cripple
definitely.
horses. Yes.
And we also doesn't have harmonious herds to put the foal into.
Yes.
In many cases,
To
of course,
socialize. They don't know how to
yeah,
socialize.
no. But in those cases where the foal comes to a harmonious and good established herd, then they will get the support they need. But it's so rare that that's the case. And
Yes.
I have also have had people commenting on my blog post that they have had foals for so many years and they haven't gotten any feedback that the foal developed to be, a nervous wreck or
No.
didn't develop to be a good horse. But then I'm like, okay, but do the people know what to look for? Because I have
Yes.
had the saying that my horse is bulletproof. You can shoot off fireworks underneath their belly and they don't react. That's to me, it's a horse that's in shutdown because that's not a healthy horse.
Nope.
So when people say that the foals that are being sent away in the age of 6 develops into healthy adults, do
Mhm.
they really know what to look for?
Correct. And I will say that there are some people and I was going to say this earlier, if you do have a baby that you take away or you save or you rescue, you can create the level of attachment and connection that that young horse needs to thrive. So in some of those cases, maybe the people that are disagreeing with you, maybe they're enough for that young horse. They might have been good enough, for lack of a better word. They've done the right things to create that healthy level of attachment that every young mammal needs. You know, we need that period of time until we don't anymore. But most of the time, in my experience, it's more about what you just said. People they don't know what to look for. And I've been there too. When I got back into horses, I thought I knew a lot. And wow, I found out how much I did not know. I did not know.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that when the foals are being shipped away in the age of 6 months that they will get PTSD or they will get ulcers, that they are going to have troubles with their whole lives. But I'm saying that a lot of them are. And
Yes.
it's so unfair to the horse. And it's so I get so frustrated because, okay, yeah, the money comes a bit later, but what if the person that they are selling the foal to can pay for the foal while it's still with its mom and can
Mm.
come and visit the foal while it's still with their mom so they can start building a relationship. And by the time the foal is a month, a year, or maybe 1.5, they can move to the new owner so
Yes.
that the breeder doesn't have to pay for the horse or the foal.
That's a good
The
solution.
and
That's a great solution.
I
We
really
shouldn't
wish
have
that
so many
people
horses
could.
too. We have way too many horses.
I know.
Oh,
It's flooded. The market is
it is
flooded.
flooded.
Oh, and it's
I
horrible
just,
because
it
it's the
is
horses that will
that
suffer from
suffer.
this.
Mm-hmm. I know. I know. And collectively, so that we're not bashing, I don't want everybody to feel bad, but collectively we can come together. We can meet other people of like mind, and we can either create our own barns where we think alike, or we raise horses a certain way, or we leave them out. We make rules and where we leave the moms, the dams, and the babies, the foals, or rules for the breeding farms that you don't separate them until they are at least a year old, in that they're in, that's one of the benefits of Florida's thoroughbred breeding industry. It's the only it's the only good thing I can say about it is they have, 20 mares with their foals, and they stay together in groups until they take the 1 year olds away to start training for racing. So that part is horrific. But I believe, in my experience rehabilitating off the track thoroughbreds, that is why some thoroughbreds are okay mentally. Most of them are not, but some of them really, and it could be personality, it could be DNA traits. Some of them just are cool and collected, and they don't have all the anxiety that most of the thoroughbreds have when they come off the track from that adrenaline, that PTSD, that constant adrenaline of being run every day. Maybe not racing, of course, every day, we know that, but they are breezed, they are schooled, exercised every freaking day, 1 hour, then thrown back in their stall for 23 hours. So how do the coping mechanisms, that's why we get so many cribbers and weavers, but how do these horses survive so well? Most of them do pretty well, believe it or not. And all I can say is from what I've seen, a lot of these babies, they get a lot of socialization, they get a really good, healthy, natural, you know, way of living up until it's like a foundation up until that year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
And also another point that I thought I just wanted to mention.
Mm.
Some of the comments have also been about the mare being, getting really thin and doesn't produce enough milk or produces too much milk and gets inflammation in their, yeah,
Yes, they get an infection in their udder.
yeah.
Yes.
So that's the reason why they are taking the foal away from the mother.
Hmm.
But then I'm thinking, okay, but well, then you shouldn't be breeding on that mare because she can't handle it
Yes.
on different
Good point.
different levels. So I
Very.
mean, there's so much to do with this industry, and I'm just so frustrated because it's never about creating good, healthy animals that can thrive in our humanized world. We're
Yes.
just going to take the one mare that we got and we're going to breed on her and we're going to send the foals away because that's just the way it's always been done.
Yes.
And I am here to say that that's over with. That's yesterday's news. We need to start rethinking and start to do things differently because this is not a good way for the horse, and the horse deserves better.
You are getting some hearts coming your way from some of our listeners.
I
They're
am.
sending hearts. Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Oh, I'm responding. That's what I've been doing too. Good to
Oh,
see you again. Well, when you get your book published, then you're going to be asked to do speaking engagements. And you might be going all over the world, manifest that. And then you can spread this and
I would
help
love to spread the
people.
word, but
Yep.
I get a bit nervous.
Oh, you're doing great. You're doing great. You'll do just fine. Yeah,
Well,
this is great.
anyways, it really needs to become a
Change.
big change, definitely. And we need to spread the word and we need to make a better place for our horses because they are suffering the way that things are right now. And I just wanted, or I, it's a bit difficult to find the words, but I mean, people need to put their ego aside
Mhm.
and start to opening their hearts and connect their mind to their heart and let the heart be involved in the decision making.
Be the guide. Let their heart be the
Yeah,
guide. Absolutely.
definitely.
Absolutely. Well,
Because
yes.
ego is so driven by, social standards
Mm.
and everything is so high speed and get results and you don't appreciate what the horse can give you in their own time if you just take a breath and
Well, and
just
it's
look at your horse and don't take
selfish.
things that they can give you.
Yes. It's just selfish. I think I also just think it's not even about what the horse can give us. It's like why do you have horses? That's the big question. Is it all about what they can give you all the time and how they make you feel? Or are you truly giving them unconditional love? It's like having a kid. It's like anything. Why are you in this relationship? Why did you have a baby? I've known so many people that out of their mouth have said, "Well, I want to have a baby because it's going to be my legacy. My legacy. I want to have a child because it's for very selfish reasons."
Yeah.
And like you just said, the ego. I see selfishness. It's always about what the horse or what the person can do for them, how it makes them feel. Well, what about how the horse feels?
Mm.
That's what you're saying. What about just give the horse what they need and just share in that, share in that love and share in that peace and tranquility.
Yeah.
I
And let
mean,
it be a partnership. I mean,
yes.
and when I switched my mentality from being, the harsh leader, the dictator, you know, we're going from A to B and we're going in a straight line, and you're not supposed to look at another leaf that's falling from a tree, to having a conversation with the horse, you know. Maya, she stops and she looks, and I'm just, okay, what are we looking at now? Okay, there's a squirrel. Cool.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, let's go on, you know? And we get from A to B, but
yeah.
it may not be a straight line, but it's communication, it's heartfelt,
It's
it's a
together.
relationship.
Yeah, and you're together.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's love and it's friendship and it's
definitely.
respect. It's respect and honor.
And it
Ah,
gets so much better, you know,
it
for the
does.
horse and for the people.
It does. It's like if you don't go into it expecting to get something back, you go into it just giving, you will get so much more back.
Hmm,
Uh, not having
definitely.
that attachment or that expectation. Oh my gosh, so many points. Um, Absolutely beautiful. How much more of your book do you need to finish?
Uh,
It's
that's
ongoing.
that's the thing, because the more I read and learn, the more I want to include in the book. So I keep
Yeah, that's
adding.
oh, well, it could be part one. You could
Yeah,
always like stop with the chapters that you have and what you've added and say to be continued,
it
and
probably will be, definitely.
you know, I hope this gives you some confidence coming from me with all of my experience, and I have a shitload of experience. And I am extremely picky about who I choose as a student, who I learn from, and who I choose to be on my podcasts, meaning what kind of information you have, because this is really good information. You're very insightful. You've done an excellent job researching and living it and experiencing it, and then coming back and articulating it in a way that is relatable, tangible for me, the reader. I can relate to it. That is such a good feeling. And then the level of understanding that you have, the education that you're giving, it's beautiful. So I get that it's a piece of art. It's never complete. As one artist to another, it's never done. But you can always do a continued piece and get this out there because you're
Thank you
always
so much.
evolving. We are always evolving, and you can write a foreword from yourself to us with stating that this is, it's taken me years. Just know that I'm still evolving. By the time this is published, I'll be ready to add to it. Uh, that's good. We'll be looking forward to it.
Thank you so much, Caroline.
Oh my
That
gosh.
means the world, and I have chills and I have a lump in my throat, and it
Oh,
really
you
means
are
the world.
you're gonna be such a success with this, girl. You
Thank
just
you.
wait. Yeah, I wouldn't say that if I didn't feel it. Get it out there because people need this. Um, I have quite a few books in my library, in my office, and in my guest house, um, and I don't think, yeah, you didn't even send me all the chapters, and the book is not in English yet.
No, I mean, I didn't even think about getting it translated until you said that, wait a minute, this is not in English.
You will. It'll come. It'll come. But how many chapters? I mean, you just gave me like chapter 167, or is that page 167?
No, that's Paige.
Okay, good. Well, that's good. But how many pages so far?
I'm just turning 188, I think,
Okay,
including the reference.
nice.
So, but I think that the book will be a bit smaller than a regular, you know, A4
Yes,
size.
yes, yes.
So it will be around 200 pages.
Mhm.
And um, I'm oh, the word. It's
You're
gone.
okay.
Not including, I am presenting
Okay.
all of the 23 horses that has really influenced my life.
Beautiful.
Two of the ones from my youth and all of the 21 that has been here in my care.
Okay.
So all of the horses that are introduced are getting their picture in the book.
Oh, I love it. You're personalizing it. And that's beautiful. And
Yeah.
honoring your horses too. Honoring your horses.
Yeah.
Oh my
And I have
gosh.
had some deaths here because of the horses got sick. And
Yes.
I get really personal about their stories and also what they have taught me about, like you said, eating some humble pie and also opening your heart
Yeah.
and how they were taking care of me before I even knew that's what they were doing. And I have a lot of stories in the book to illustrate the things that I am scientifically explaining.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
beautiful. That is
So,
beautiful.
because what I hope to accomplish with this book is to provide good and useful information that people can relate to and understand, and that it's not, you don't have to be really scientific to understand this. It's not difficult to understand. You just have to set it in a system. You have to know what to look for, and you have to know what the different things look like
Mm-hmm.
so that you can understand.
Mm-hmm.
And also how the horses perceive this world. You know, they have a different sight, they have a different smell, they have a different connection to the environment and to the nature that we are living in.
Yes.
And I hope that this book can, yeah, provide a simple guide to a
Oh,
better understanding and communication with your
yeah.
horse.
Yes, it's definitely educational too, very educational. It's a full circle effect, it sounds like, with your book. It's and you and I can talk outside of the podcast, like when you could do an ebook, you could publish this yourself and get it out there very cheaply without, going full publish and get the money there and then get a translator into English and then pay for all of that. But yeah, just getting it out there. I'm just so impressed with your blog. No news, or should I say negative reactions are better than no reactions. So if you can get people excited and, and start getting them interested, maybe a sign up form on your website, register for my new book. If you like my blogs and you're interested in learning more, register and you'll be the first, VIP,
Yeah,
and maybe get a discount or maybe get something special in addition to the book.
yeah,
Because that energy will fuel you like, oh my gosh, I have, 100 people. Now it's 300 people registered. Now it's 1,000. I mean, come on. You're like, oh
I'm
my God,
not.
okay.
If I would reach 100, I would be super
Oh,
excited.
you will. Look, you just got probably what by now 2,000 people, viewing your blog on ulcers and trauma with weanlings. That's
Yeah,
huge. So that's as a marketing person, that's your guide, and but we can talk more about that business stuff later. But oh, I'm so excited. Maybe we can join forces and I can come over there sometime and do, a clinic or a presentation um to help people that are ready to really fully embrace this way of being and working with horses.
that would be amazing, Caroline.
I'd love that. Yeah, with my method. Yeah, I'd love that. So, never
That's
know.
definitely a thought we need to
Get you over here.
unravel.
Yes,
Yeah.
we'll talk more about that. We'll have more podcasts too. Because we could do a podcast on every chapter without giving it away. Without giving it away. We can just
Yeah.
start talking about it and then we go down the rabbit hole and all sorts of things come up. All right, is there anything else you'd like to talk about before we wrap it up?
You know what? I am just really pumped that we have been able to cover
Hold on
all that we
one
have.
second. Sorry,
Yeah.
everybody. Do you need me? No, you're fine. Thank you, hon. Okay, sorry. That was my staffer. Sorry. She's
Oh,
leaving.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
yes.
No, I'm really pumped and I have been so excited and nervous for this podcast. So I feel like I'm just, my head is boiling.
Oh, you
And
are fabulous. You're beautiful inside and out. And you, wasn't she awesome? Come on, everybody. You just wait till you're going to get more comments when we promote this on Facebook and yeah, and you'll be able to read some of the chat in the comments that they left on YouTube. So, and then
well,
you'll share this. You share this podcast on your Facebook and get that going out there for your
of
book.
course. Yeah, yeah. But I just wanted to say that I really would love to get the book translated to English. So if there are interest of the people who are listening to this podcast or looking at the video on YouTube, if you can shoot me an email or send me an message
I'll put
on
that
my,
information. I'll put it in
yeah.
underneath all this when we're done and I go to editing this, you guys, for the audio part. I'll put all that information in here and how to get in touch with you, your website, your email. Yes.
Yeah. So if
Yeah.
there are enough interest for people to buy the book on English, I will definitely get it translated.
Mm.
But it's a bigger cost, so I have to know that people will buy it before I start the process.
Yes, and like I said, I wouldn't start it yet. I just get this out there and get some money from it, and you're gonna do really well. You're gonna have plenty of money to take care of getting it translated. I'm not worried about that. I see that in your future.
Thank you, Caroline. That's wonderful.
I'm so
I
excited.
hope you're right. From
I
your words,
I
from
am.
your mouth to God's ears. Yeah.
Exactly. I am. I wouldn't say that. I have complete faith in how well this is going to do and how well you articulate yourself and how much you think about what you're trying to say and how you say it. So, and that's how you write it too, which is very good. Very good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
it's
Okay.
been wonderful.
Yes, it has. And we will have more of these. So we're going to sign off, everyone, and I will put the information for you to get in touch with Elisabeth via her website and her email. And then we'll be in touch. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank
What a
you,
pleasure.
Caroline, for
What a
everything.
pleasure. Yeah, what a pleasure.
It's
And
been wonderful.
thank you. Bless everyone, sending blessings to everyone, and may you always be one with horses. God bless. And we'll be in touch. We have another podcast coming up in November. So stay tuned, you guys. Okay. Thank you, Elisabeth.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you so much.
We'll be in touch, right?